When graphing exponentials and logarithm functions, we use our inverse functions in order to do this. So exponentials and logarithms are inverses of each other, just like adding and subtracting are inverses, multiplying and dividing are inverses, and so on. So in our example, we're going to start off by graphing our exponential function. The exponential function is something that we can plug into, but for these examples, we're actually going to use our calculator to assist us in finding the values that we need to graph. And then remember, since they are inverses, the x's and y's are going to switch. So we'll discuss that when we get there. So in my example, I have 1/2 times 2 to the exponent of x. So I'm going to put this in the calculator so I can fill in my table of values to plot my points. So to do my graphing, I need to have a blank graphing screen on my calculator. And I'm going to hit my tab key to get to my equation line. And in parentheses, I'm going to type in 1 division 2 to get my fraction. And then on the outside, I'm going to have 2 to my exponent of x. And I'm going to hit enter. Now that I have my graph, I'm going to go to my table. So I'm going to hit Control and T. And in the table that we have in our example, it's looking for x values of 0 through 4. So in my table, I'm going to go to those values and fill in our y coordinates. So in our calculators, we got our y coordinates for our 5x values. So now I'm going to plot these values onto our graph. Now that I have those points plotted, I'm going to connect my points and make my graph look like I have on my calculator screen. So I need to look at the domain in the range for our function. So our domain is going to be all real values. So there is no x value that is being excluded from our graph. Now the range are our y values, and if we look at our graph, it is never crossing that x-axis. So all of our y values are going to be bigger than 0. Now when it comes time for graphing our inverse, we are going to flip our table values. So my x's are going to become my y's in the table below. So 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And my y's from my first table are going to become my x's. So 0.5, 1, 2, 4, and 8. Now I can plot those points on the coordinate grid. So my first point will be 0.5 and 0. And then I can plot 1 and 1, 2 and 2, 4 and 3, and 8 and 4. Some of our points may intersect, some of them may not. Each graph is going to be different. So since it is an inverse, we want this to look like a mirror image. So I'm going to connect my points, and this graph is going to go straight down the y-axis, but never cross it. Now when it comes to the domain and range for our inverse, same thing is going to happen that we did for our table. So the range is now going to be my domain. We just need to make sure that we switch our y's to x's. And then the previous domain is going to become our range. So all real numbers.